What you're about to witness isn't just a political shift, it's a complete power realignment in Washington. When Senator Joni Ernst announced her support for Pete Hegseth, something extraordinary happened. The dominoes started falling. Suddenly, Lindsey Graham's on board. Roger Marshall is backing the mission. Even John Cornyn is signaling support for Kash Patel at the FBI. But here's what the establishment doesn't want you to realize. This is not just about cabinet appointments. It's about dismantling the entire deep state apparatus. With Tom Homan preparing for action and Alina Habba joining the team, the swamp creatures are in full panic mode. Now look in the mirror. You notice those signs of aging? Well, here's what they're not telling you. After age 20, your collagen production drops 12% every decade. That's why I trust BioTrust's revolutionary collagen formula. It's not just a supplement, it's a scientific breakthrough combining all 5 essential collagen types for maximum skin rejuvenation. Right now, get an incredible 51% off at healthwithgary.com, plus receive free VIP health coaching, the 14 foods for amazing skin ebook, and free shipping. Don't let time win. Visit healthwithgary.com now and turn back the clock naturally. Also, big news, you can join the Next News Inner Circle. Choose your rank, operative, commander, and sentinel, and unlock exclusive channel membership perks. You'll find that link down below. Where is it? Over here somewhere or over there? Down there, yeah, down in that area. Click join, and you can join the exclusive club. Okay, let's get into it. This is the big news today. Yes, we've got a lot of people watching right now. Lindsey Graham, Pete Hegseth 6 hours ago, saying, "Thank you, Senator Graham." Lindsey Graham posting, "I had a very positive, thorough, and candid meeting with Pete Hegseth about his nomination to be the next Secretary of Defense. I appreciate how forthright and forthcoming he was." Okay, I guess that's good. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Lindsey Graham. You know, he's part of that old guard, neocon. And even when I was at Mar-a-Lago, Lindsey Graham got booed to his face. Yeah, pretty embarrassing. But, you know, with Donald Trump coming into the White House again, there's a lot of people who should be very nervous. And I thought that this was beautiful. This was posted on TikTok by J Dub, and it's Nancy Pelosi. Look at this.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Nancy.
Hi.
Prison time's coming soon. Be ready. Donald Trump. Not much time left.
Look at her face. Oh, look at her face. Let's watch it again.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Nancy.
Hi.
Prison time's coming soon. Be ready. Donald Trump.
Oh, look at her face, though. Look at her face. Look at her face. Like, she's like, oh my goodness. She knows it. She knows she's a criminal. Oh, she looks back. She kind of does she flinches when she walks away.
Not much time left.
Oh man, how beautiful was that moment right there. God bless that guy for catching that. And then we have this. This is also Pete Hegseth, Dr. Roger Marshall. Pete Hegseth has my support. He's qualified, strong, and will transform the Department of Defense for the better. Pete Hegseth will focus on recruitment efforts and lethality as the DOD should. So Hegseth is racking up the support. And here was this. So Senator Joni Ernst has been a thorn in the side of this whole process. And the amount of public pressure that has been put on her, because she knows, as we talked about in a previous report, there's been talk about bringing Kari Lake up to primary her in the next election cycle. And I have a feeling if Kari Lake did transplant herself, then Joni Ernst wouldn't stand a chance. And I would love to see Kari Lake in the Senate. But we do have some new news about Kari Lake and where she might be going with the Trump administration. And I've also said I would love to see her get a role in the Trump administration, and that may, in fact, be happening. But Pete Hegseth says, I want to thank Senator Joni Ernst for taking the time to meet with me again today. She has been long been a leader to many important defense issues, which I deeply appreciate. I'm grateful for her support through this process. So now we're learning Joni Ernst is softening her support, or she's supporting him. She's getting behind him. Okay. Senator John Cornyn. This is on Kash Patel. I assume Patel will be confirmed. Listen in.
Restore. Well, I had a good meeting with Kash Patel, the president's nominee for FBI director. We still don't know what Director Wray's plans are, but eventually I assume that Mr. Patel will be confirmed as the next FBI director. We talked about the importance of restoring the reputation of the FBI as a nonpartisan law enforcement investigative agency. As you recall, that confidence was eroded beginning with James Comey's treatment of Hillary Clinton when he announced publicly that no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute her for misuse of her computers and the classified system. That was...
Brian, are you able to turn the volume up on this?
Fundamentally a wrong thing for the FBI director to do. That's a prosecutorial decision that should have been made by the Attorney General. But
okay, so I apologize for that audio track. It was a little bit low, but I'll just give you the cliff notes of it. He says, eventually, I assume that Patel will be confirmed as the FBI director. We talked about the importance of restoring the reputation of the FBI as a nonpartisan law enforcement investigative agency. I mean, the fact that he's got to say, restoring the reputation of the FBI as a nonpartisan law enforcement agency. I mean, these are the words coming out of a senator's mouth. That's an admission that the FBI has become a partisan cudgel. I mean, Donald Trump, when he was interviewed by Kristen Welker, he said that the FBI, they raided my home. I mean, he has a lawsuit against the FBI for that. It's a shame. Restoring the reputation of the FBI as a nonpartisan law enforcement investigative agency. Absolutely insane. And then we have this, Florida's Voice reporting 9 hours ago. Florida Democratic Representative Susan Valdez switching registration to Republican, saying her previous party ignored the needs of her community. Welcome to the party. Another defection from the party. And now we have this Representative Tim Burchett. This is on DOGE because, you know, hey, I'm a big fan of DOGE. I cannot wait to see what Elon and Vivek and Ron Paul, when they put that list together. I can't wait to go through it with you guys and just mock all the ridiculous spending. And we'll get to vote up or down what should get canned. Oh, yeah, a lot of pissed off bureaucrats going to be. But here's what Burchett says. DOGE can expose the waste. Let's listen.
If we had $1 trillion every 100 days, again, this is where Congress has to get some guts, and the people and your viewers have to hold us accountable. I look up on that board every day at votes, and there's probably 15 or 20 of us that put a red dot, which means we vote against it. Last week we voted for one bill that had over $300 million in it, unfunded. We're borrowing this from our great-grandchildren again. Yep. You know, you've got your Congress people up there, and they're going to grease their buddies that are lobbyists, and their wife and or their girlfriend works for some quasi-governmental agency, and they don't want to see it cut. And that's what happens. You all have got to start holding us accountable. That's why if we could get single-issue spending bills like we do in Tennessee, they drop a 3,000-page bill on our desk, and we got 2 hours to read it. You read down and find out what lobbyists you need to grease, what group you've promised to, what bridge you've got in your district, and then you vote for it. That's why we're $35 trillion in debt. Do individual spending bills. And the old timers tell me, well, Burchett will be here all night. Well, dadgummit, y'all pay us over $170,000, at least in Tennessee. That's a heck of a lot of money, and we need to start earning it.
And now we
had $1 trillion every 100 days.
We are learning this just in. FBI Director Christopher Wray to resign because he doesn't want to get fired by Trump. Gateway pundit reporting 3 hours ago. And AKA says Christopher Wray belongs in prison.
From prison? Are you going to fire the current FBI Director Christopher Wray, who you appointed?
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home. I'm suing the country over it. He invaded Mar-a-Lago. I'm very unhappy with the things he's done. And crime is at an all-time high. Migrants are pouring into the country that are from prisons and from mental institutions, as we've discussed. I can't say I'm thrilled. I don't want to be Joe Biden and give you an answer and then do the exact opposite.
We're going to talk about
So
that,
I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is I certainly cannot be happy with him. You take a look at what's happened. And then when I was shot in the ear, he said, "Oh, maybe it was shrapnel." Where's the shrapnel coming from? Is it coming from heaven? I don't think so. So we need somebody to straighten. I have a lot of respect for the FBI, but the FBI's respect has gone way down over the last number of years.
Don't you have to fire him in order to make room for Kash Patel if he is in fact confirmed?
Well, I mean, it would sort of seem pretty obvious that if Kash gets in, he's going to be taking somebody's place, right? There's somebody.
Gateway pundit, FBI Director Christopher Wray to resign because he doesn't want to get fired by Trump. That was just literally sent in minutes ago by one of our viewers in the live chat. So another major development. And here, okay, let's talk about this. Go back to this Joni Ernst thing. Here is Pete Hegseth talking about that.
It was a very good meeting with the Senate. The more you spend, I've known her for 10 years. The more we talk, we're reminded of, as two combat veterans, how dedicated we are to defense. She has been dedicated to making the Pentagon work for warfighters for a long time. We've had great, extensive conversations about that. Her commitment to the process, and we look forward to working together.
Look at that press gaggle surrounding Hegseth, man. Wild stuff happening on Capitol Hill. Gunther Eagleman, I support this. Pete Hegseth reportedly plans to have a complete audit of the Pentagon as Secretary of Defense. Will they be able to pass it? I doubt it. Laura Loomer reporting 9 hours ago. Senator Joni Ernst says she will be supporting Hegseth for Defense Secretary. Great work, everyone. Our public pressure campaign is working, but it's not official until it's official and the vote is over. Hold the line. And Suzanne Ramdial, she dropped $19 in a super chat, and she says Senator Ernst is softening due to the tons of phone calls made to her office by private citizens like herself. So thank you, Suzanne. You are one of the people making it happen. And here's the scoop on Kari Lake, Shelby Talcott. Kari Lake is a top contender to be the U.S. ambassador to Mexico. That we are just learning. Semaphore posting the article, top contender to go to Mexico as the ambassador. But they're breaking down over there at The View. Whoopi and Navarro are at each other's throats debating the fear level of the incoming administration. People can't be relaxing and enjoying Christmas. Oh boy, what are they saying?
Kids, he does this to keep you all in a panic. He does it to make you all do this and talk about it, but it's so terrible. But we have to do from now until January 21st is be with our families, be with our kids, do our jobs, make sure our checks don't bounce, make sure that we are taking care of ourselves and our families. Whatever he's going to do, he's going to do, but do take our word for it. Things seem to move slowly because, yeah, they didn't come get Hillary. But he has other people who are ready to go. But I don't think that they can just go out and do what they want to do.
I told you last week I disagree with you when you say that. Because we have the luxury of saying that because we're legal, we are successful, but if you're an illegal immigrant in this country, you're not going to be not in a panic. If you are a woman working for the Department of Defense, you have a right to be in a panic.
If you're a woman working in the Department of Defense, you have a right to be in a panic? What? See what they make up here? It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
people to stay fraught and like this.
I'm telling people to prepare, Whoopi. I'm telling people
do you think they're not prepared? They are prepared.
Right. So that
and
means
I'm saying
that
to
means
people,
that they can't be relaxing and enjoying Christmas.
No, it doesn't mean that.
When winter is coming.
No, it does. You know what? I'm sorry.
I mean, I disagree.
Winter is here.
Right.
Winter's been with us. And my point is we can lay down and do nothing for the next 15 days and then be freaking out for the next 4 or 2 years.
Point to you is
but
we
my
are
point,
in a privileged position that a lot of people who are going to be under his...
We're in a privileged position, she says. We're in a privileged position because we can control the narrative. No, I'm sorry, nobody is listening. And we're here to deconstruct your lies and call you to the carpet. That's why you've got to do legal notes on every episode. Goodness gracious.
Who is going through the same thing.
I want his enemies listening. I'm not panicking.
Yeah.
Like, we just have to live.
We have to figure out what we're panicking for. We don't know what we're panicking for. They're throwing 50,000 things at you to make you do this. I'm saying don't buy into that. Do what you have to do. Take care of your family. And
you know, every time I see Whoopi Goldberg, I just think of Stanley Spadowski's Playhouse. And I just think of him looking for his mop. You know, my mop! My mop! Yeah. Keep freaking out, Whoopi. Keep freaking out. You guys aren't in a privileged position. John Solomon reports FBI Director nominee Kash Patel on Capitol Hill. He's meeting with lawmakers today. Trump border czar Tom Homan, 9 hours ago, he says, we're not waiting for January 20th. Let's listen.
A meeting. Well, look, I'm here to talk to a bunch of people here and find out what exactly is going on the ground. I was already in Texas. I'm working with Governor Abbott. I've had a meeting last week with the National Sheriff's Association, work with sheriffs across the country. I'm here in Chicago to speak to some groups here, some black pastors who have concerns about what illegal immigration has done to their community. So we're already on the ground in Chicago. We're going to fix this up as quick as we can. We're not waiting for January 20th. I'm working now. Well,
on the ground in Chicago, Gunther Eagleman breaking it down. X wins again. Senator Joni Ernst is willing to support Trump's nominees because of so much public pressure. Rudy Giuliani, let us get behind Pete Hegseth. Those who were with him earlier, I appreciate, but I'll extend that same appreciation for those who support Pete. Now that Senator Joni Ernst seems quite supportive. Imagine a warrior as Secretary of Defense. Senator John Cornyn, I had a good meeting with Kash. Eventually, I assume he will be confirmed. Maybe this has better audio.
Eventually, had a good meeting with Kash Patel, the president's nominee for FBI director. We still don't know what Director Wray's plans are, but eventually I assume that Mr. Patel will be confirmed as the next FBI director.
Okay, of course, we now know that Christopher Wray will be resigning. Raheem Kassam, Joni Ernst, latest. I appreciate Pete Hegseth's responsiveness and respect for the process following our encouraging conversation. Pete committed to completing a full audit of the Pentagon and selecting a senior official who will uphold the roles and values of our servicemen. Kyle Becker reporting, Joni Ernst has caved and now says she will support Pete Hegseth through the nomination process to become Pentagon chief. X claiming another victory. And here we have this post-millennial. Of course, we're, remember the 100 national security officials who all signed a letter to go after Tulsi Gabbard? Yeah, that old song and dance, that story we've heard before. Hunter Biden laptop, 50 national security officials have all said, intelligence community, it's Russian disinformation. Well, now we're finding out that 250 veterans have signed a letter in support of Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, calling her a warrior who cannot be bought. So many amazing things are happening. Yeah, see this? Yeah. Nearly 100 former national security officials alarmed at the prospect of Gabbard leading the intel community. Donald Trump Jr., he said this he said this a day ago. They run the same playbook over and over again. The American people are not falling for it. The deep state opposing her is about the best endorsement I could imagine for Tulsi Gabbard to be the next Director of National Intelligence. And here is Stephen Miller, This is good stuff. Comprehensive border security and tax reform will be fast-tracked.
There's full funding for. Well, I think the plan is to put both on a fast track. First, you can get John Thune and Lindsey Graham have promised that they can get a full funding package for the border, the most significant border security investment in American history, which would be the biggest domestic policy win in at least 50 years, to the president's desk in January or early February. That would mean a massive increase in ICE officers working on the deportation operation that Tom Homan just laid out. That would mean a historic increase in border agents, a pay raise for both, full funding for military operations, full funding for ICE beds, full funding for air and marine operations, full funding for all of the barriers and technology that you need to ensure there's never another Godaway entering this country. Now, President Trump, regardless, on day one is going to issue a series of executive orders that seal the border shut and begin the largest deportation operation in American history. But you're talking about what would be the largest investment in immigration and border security. This is something the Republicans have been talking about for decades, but with Donald Trump, this is something that is going to happen. It will be the most important and significant, as I said, domestic policy achievement in half a century. Then the plan, as Senator Thune has laid out, as incoming Majority Leader Thune has laid out, would be to move immediately at that point. Now we're talking in January, early February, immediately to the comprehensive tax reform package. That's where you have to figure out SALT, right? The state and local deductions. That's where you're going to figure out about different policy baselines that you're going to use for the tax cuts, about corporate tax reform, about trade reform, manufacturing reform, and all those tax policies. And with the 2 or 3 seat majority in the House, obviously, that's going to take some time. So it says nobody, I repeat, nobody is even talking or considering delaying tax. What the Senate has talked about doing is giving the president, within a week or two of taking the oath of office, the most significant domestic policy achievement in at least 50 years. Our Border Patrol, our ICE officers, and every element of our domestic security operation will be fully funded to take down the cartels and eradicate the criminal gang threat in this country once and for all.
Yeah.
Tax reform will happen. It will happen, and it will be the greatest tax bill that we've ever seen. Now, these are not final. These are ongoing discussions and negotiations. But I just want to be very clear that no one's talking about delaying tax reform. What they're talking about doing is, before government funding expires in March, before the debt ceiling expires in June, just days after he puts his hand on that Bible, giving President Trump the biggest domestic policy win that anybody has seen in our lifetimes, Maria. Well, I think the plan...
And I am here for it. You are here for it. We have this from Amuse. He says, Congress inserted a new requirement that President Trump and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth seek approval from them before implementing any defense-related executive orders in the 2025 NDA. Section 1067 requires congressional notification for executive action. Sounds like they're trying to put a poison pill in the NDAA, which is what they often do. We're finding this. This is Wall Street Mav. President Trump just selected Alina Habba as counselor to the president. I'm pleased to announce Alina Habba will join my White House team as counselor to the president. She's been a tireless advocate for justice, a fierce defender of the rule of law, and an invaluable advisor to my campaign and transition team. And she looks wonderful in a bathing suit. Oh, Alina Habba, welcome to the team. Well, she's been awesome. And then we got this too. This is interesting. This is telling. Lara Trump has stepped down as co-chair of the RNC. Now the question is Ron DeSantis appointing her to the U.S. Senate. That is what has been talked about. I think she'll do just fine there, having a strong ally in the Senate with Lara Trump. Of course, I would also like to see Matt Gaetz take that position as well. Either one I'm fine with. Of course, taking the seat from Marco Rubio, who's now been appointed as Secretary of State. Not a popular choice, but nonetheless, he has been appointed there. So we're going to find out. Leo Terrell is asking, tell me more. Tell me more. We're going to find out very, very soon. NDAA, they're calling this the silent coup against President Trump's authority. National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year is not just another defense bill. It's a calculated effort to undermine President Trump. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. And of course, Kari Lake going into potentially becoming the ambassador to Mexico. Elon Musk also bringing this question up a couple days ago. Why are we doing this when our own country is so deeply in debt? He's quote tweeting the Department of Government Efficiency. The United States gives more aid to foreign countries than the next 9 countries combined. Where exactly is that money going? Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will get to the bottom of this. And then we have this talking about Hunter Biden's pardon. Mario Nafal, Bill Clinton said Hunter's pardon is nothing like the one I gave my brother. Let's listen to what Slick Willie had to say.
This was not on my plan originally, but I thought, you know what? Everybody, we were out in the hallway. They were all talking about that, and I said, I'm going to ask the president first.
Well, I think that the president did have reason to believe that the nature of the offenses involved were likely to produce far stronger adverse consequences for his son than they would for any normal person under the same circumstances. But I would urge all of you to just look at the facts before you make a judgment and see what they're talking about and what the context is. Because I'm still reading, somebody said, well, this is just like when Bill Clinton pardoned his brother. Well, it's not. My brother did 14 months in the federal prison for something he did when he was 20. And I supported it. And he testified, told the truth about what he'd done when he had a drug problem and helped to bring down a larger enterprise. And they sentenced him, and then he served 14.
This was not on.
So we have that. So much happening. Here's CNN's Scott Jennings nuking Joe Biden, being absent and avoiding the press as President-elect Trump is welcomed back to the world stage with the Notre Dame Cathedral reopening. That was an amazing visual this weekend. The handshaking. I mean, the boss is back on the world stage and Joe Biden nowhere to be found.
His hair was crazy. We had John Bolton on a couple last hour, and he just made the point, too. Look, typically the thinking is there's one president at a time. But in this case, just the visuals of it, you know, I'm looking at video right now of President-elect Trump standing there with President Macron, meeting with Zelensky.
Yeah, and what video do we have from the last few days of Joe Biden? He was in Africa a little bit, but kind of avoided the press. We see Jill Biden out a little bit. We saw him at the tree lighting ceremony, and he took his hat off, and his hair was crazy. I mean, thank God. We haven't had a functioning president. Let's just be honest. For God knows how many months. And thank goodness Donald Trump's willing to go represent this country on the world stage. He's not taken office yet, but you can already see the attitude change of the American posture and the posture of the rest of the world to the United States of America. We've had a weak presidency for 4 years. We will now have a strong president. Love him or hate him, this man projects strength. Joe Biden has projected weakness. I'm glad Donald Trump is there. This church, this cathedral reopening is a big deal to Catholics and Christians all over the world. Thank goodness Donald Trump made this trip. It makes America look good for the U.S. president to be engaged in a historical moment like this. So I'm glad he made the trip.
Oh, yeah. A historic moment, again, for our president. And here we have this grotesque Washington Post creature, Drew Hernandez, stating, calls for Joe Biden to pardon anyone President Trump has criticized. Did you hear about this one?
And so many well, the Constitution is quite broad. The pardon power is a plenary power. It really has no check from Congress or the courts. So the president has a lot of latitude here. The reason why there are broad categories that I suggest is because Trump has made so many threats against so many categories of people. I
wonder why. I wonder why he has. It's not like he hasn't been targeted by all these people. His life practically turned upside down with investigation after investigation, phony J6 committees, phony impeachments. It's all horrible. I mean, trying to bankrupt him, destroy his family business, everything. Oh, yeah, he's got an axe to grind, honey.
Inventing this, Donald Trump said he was going to go after election officials, for example, who operated during the 2020 election. That's a broad category of people that he may go after. Now, there were a couple people who, in one case, he specifically named. They've sued him, or rather his aides. But there are many people he could go after. He could go after Georgia officials, for example, who refused to come up with the votes that he wanted. So because Trump himself has laid out broad categories, journalists, election workers, the military generals who did not do his bidding or who said bad things about him after he left office. Those people are the ones who are at risk, and they deserve protection. Think of someone like Cassidy Hutchinson, who put her career, frankly, her physical safety, given the threats she now faces, on the line by going in front of the January 6th Commission. She shouldn't face vindictive prosecution.
Well, didn't she make up a story? Didn't she make up a whole story of lies under oath? I think that's a criminal offense.
So the president has the power to do that. He needs to lay out these categories with some degree of specificity, but it can cover the entire period of time that Donald Trump was in office. To be clear, it is not an admission that these people have committed any wrongdoing. In fact, he can say in the pardon, I do not believe these people have done anything wrong. However,
Really?
They have been threatened. And in order to maintain the proposition that the Justice Department is not weaponized, to use a phrase that the Republicans love, I think, President...
Well, actually, no, that was Joe Biden. That's the language Joe Biden used when he pardoned Hunter, saying the DOJ was weaponized against his son. Come on, get your facts straight, honey.
Would say that these people are deserving of protection. We need to stop this cycle of retribution. Now, people don't have to accept the pardon if they don't want to. And there are many instances in which Trump may seek to harass people going forward. He may try to audit them. He may try to send out subpoenas. He may try to come up with other crimes for conduct in the future. But at least for this period,
look, if Trump's going to harass people, it's probably because they deserve it, okay?
of time for a great many innocents, I think a broad pardon would, in fact, give them protection, give them peace of mind, and really kind of put Trump and his crew in the spotlight. Wow. Threatening a whole swath of Americans is un-American, is not in keeping with our democratic traditions, and let him explain why he thinks he has to go after.
Okay, enough of you. Enough of you. Oh, and then here's this. Oh, Kinzinger asked if he's worried Trump will throw him in jail due to his involvement on the J6 committee. Kinzinger.
We embarrassed him.
That Donald Trump will try to put you in jail.
No, I have absolutely no worries about this. First off, the executive branch can't go after the legislative branch because we embarrassed him. That's not a...
But what if you committed a crime? Could the new FBI director, who has now been given authority to go after any corruption, could he go after you? Yeah, Adam Kinzinger is, he's just trying to hold it in. Because, at night, when he goes to sleep with his pull-ups on, he's crying himself to sleep.
That's not against the law. Ultimately, when we talked about him throwing his ketchup and hamburger against the wall, there's nothing illegal about that. And most of the people that testified were actually his Republicans, fellow Republicans that went up and spoke in him. So look, he's all but hurt right now because he was embarrassed. He's not going to come after us, and I'm not worried about it at all, in the least.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Check your pull-ups when you wake up, okay? Please, would you do that? Oh, here's another one, a CNN panelist saying that she might be deported under Trump because she's a naturalized citizen. These people are delusional. Again, this is CNN.
My citizenship, I might be deported because I'm a naturalized citizen. And Stephen Miller, who is Donald Trump's deputy chief of staff, has said that they're going to embark on a denaturalization program. So I could be deported, my citizenship could be taken away, and my children could be deported because they have birthright citizenship. So this is not what the country voted for. Let's be very clear. Americans voted for Trump because of groceries, because of lowering costs. He has not talked about that one bit. What? This country did not.
What? Of course he's talked about it. What do you... This is another example of why the mainstream media is dying. Because of people like her. Spewing nonsense and lies. But we're here. We're here to correct these lunatics.
Vote for is to deport the 11 million undocumented immigrants who do critical work for our economy, who have injected $7 trillion into our economy. And what Americans want is a solution to immigration. They want expanded legal pathways, and they do want more stronger, smart border security, which is exactly what Democrats are talking about. And Democrats have always been the ones willing to work with Republicans on a solution, and it's been Republicans that have always pulled the rug from under our feet.
Wow. Okay, what do you have to say, Donald? What do you have to say?
Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself, Mr. President. All right. What else have we got here? I think, we've got this. Tom Cotton, the third-ranking GOP Senate member, is confident all of Trump's cabinet members will be confirmed.
Nominees. Brian, I expect a Republican Senate is going to confirm all of a Republican president-elect's nominees.
Boom! Make it so. Make it so. But I think my favorite video of this entire segment is this one.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Nancy.
Hi.
Prison time's coming soon. Be ready. Donald Trump. Not much time left.
So, as Trump's team takes shape, the real question isn't whether they'll be confirmed, it's how much of the deep state they will expose. With Hegseth promising a full Pentagon audit and Patel ready to clean house at the FBI, we're looking at a complete system overhaul. But here's what we need you to answer in the comments. Is the establishment's sudden cooperation a genuine surrender, or are they planning something more sinister? And speaking of making statements, check out our new Megavengers collection at Next News Network Shop. It's sending shockwaves through DC. Our limited edition series has the bureaucrats trembling, so head to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and gear up for the revolution.